What the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the SH Figuarts Berserk Guts. And I know this review took me forever to get to. I'll explain why a little bit later. But for now, let's not waste any time and dive right into the sexy packaging. Now, one thing I want to put into perspective immediately is the fact that this is a big ass box, and I'm sure you guys are wondering why the figure is not inside. I've already been finagling with it, and because of the fact that I've already attached some parts, I really don't want to put him back in the box because it would just be too much of a hassle. But anyway, you can see how tall it is in comparison to an SH Figuarts box. And then we do have the Figma, I guess you can say, redesigned packaging that we've been getting on a lot of their figures. It's much taller. But anyway, on the front, you got an image of Guts. You got the window where you can see the some of the accessories, not a whole lot. You've got this really dope art style image of him right here. Some images along the sides, of course. On the bottom, not really much going on. And this is a tall box. I'm trying not to hit my camera. On the top, you got this really dope slashing image. And then, of course, on the back, you got some poses you can get the figure into. So really dope packaging, and that's not all. Now, inside of the packaging, he does also come with this really dope background image that I'm in love with. I don't know what's going on here, but it's a bunch of faces. You can see they're kind of crying. It almost looks like they're crying blood. This is really dope, man. I love art, and so I'm always going to show this type of stuff off. Again, I don't know what this is, so yeah, just be expecting a lot of that in this review. Now, if you're wondering why this review took me so long to get to, it's mostly because this is a figure that kind of scares me, man. There's a lot going on here, a lot to like, and there are some things to dislike as well. Now, that being said, this is a very, very beautiful figure. Now, I was contemplating not reviewing this because of some comments I got. Some people were saying, don't review it if you're not a fan of it. Oh, you're just joining the bandwagon. But I talked myself into it, and I realized it's a cool looking figure. So I can do whatever I want with it if I'm going to spend my money on it. And also, for the people who were complaining, saying they're upset that I chose to buy this, look, go ask your favorite YouTuber or more popular YouTubers why they review the Naruto line and they have no interest in it. Before you come at me, go holler at them. But anyway, back to this figure. It looks great, man. I will be honest. It is a very good looking figure. Now, there are some things that look off just taking a look at him as he stands right here in front of us. The arms look really long, man, and the legs look really short. It just feels like the proportions are a tad bit off. Now, I've seen a bunch of art of this character, and he appears to be a little bit more muscular as well. This guy kind of looks on the slim, slender side. I don't know. It's just something looks off. Now, when it comes to the armor and everything, I mean, they got that down. There's really nothing they could have done better. There is a ton of sculpt work, a ton of detail, and everything going on with this figure, and we're about to take a closer look at that right now. Now, the first thing that's important here is the head sculpt. I've seen plenty of artwork on this guy, and I don't think that this head sculpt could have been done any better, man. I love the bruises, the closed eye, the red eye, the little white in his hair, the sculpt work, all of it is done very well. And this figure almost has a realistic look to it just because of the way they painted certain parts of the skin tone, such as the lips around the eyes. You can still tell it's a bit anime-esque, but it does have a very realistic look to it. Even when it comes down to the arm, as you can see, there's a tad bit of shading as it transitions to the lower part of the forearm. Now, granted, it's a little bit unrealistic, but it still looks really good, and it's not supposed to be realistic. But anyway, the armor, everything on this figure looks so damn good, man. You got these little daggers in here. I love the sash he has right here, or not sash, I forget what this thing is called. The straps that he has, these armored plates, the metal arm, I guess is what this is, the pouches and things, and then you have another little dagger you can attach right here. On the back, you've got more pouches, and the sculpt work just continues, man. They do not slack off anywhere on this figure, going all the way down to the legs. I kind of like what they did with the cape. I kind of don't, man. It looks okay. It looks dirty-esque as it's supposed to be, but the tatters and everything look good. I don't really just like the fabric. That's the main thing. It's like this pleather material, and it works, but I wish it had I don't know, man. I wish they would have gone with a better material, but it works. You're going to be able to get it in those blowing type poses, so that's perfectly fine. Again, when it comes to the arms, they just look a little bit way too long. I said a little bit, but way too long. I don't know, man. I wish they would have shortened those a tad bit, or made the legs longer and making him essentially a taller figure. I think that would have helped. But yeah, all the way down to the feet, man. This figure looks good. Sculpt work and detail. It's a solid 10 out of 10. Like, you can't even argue it. The paint is done well. There is really nothing wrong when it comes to the look of this figure other than the proportions. Now, I really didn't want to take the cape off of him, but I knew someone was going to not let me live this down if I didn't discuss the design on the back of his neck. I say design because I don't know if it's a tattoo or what it is, but it does look really damn good. It's clearly 3D printed on there, and yeah, and so now the cape is off. I guess I'll keep it off for the articulation, but it's going to be on for most of the review at least. Now, when it comes to the height of this figure, he's a bit of the average height. To the top of his head, as you can see, he's standing a little bit over or under 6.5 inches, which is normal for SH Figuarts. With all the sculpting and detail going on with this guy, I expected him to be about this height. If they would have made it any taller, then it probably would have made it cost more than it already is, which I think retails at about 90 something bucks. And that's only if you get it from an import website. So yeah, maybe that's why the proportions are the way they are. But again, I think it could have been a tad bit taller. When it comes to the articulation, this is probably the part that scares me the most, mostly because there are some limitations, but there are some limitations also that could be fatal for this figure, as I've seen in other reviews. Now, he looks up very well, but then as you can see, this little piece right here comes off. This is what holds his cape on. You can just plug it back in there, so that's fine. He looks down about that much. It's not going to go any further, but I mean, what would you expect? He does get tilt, turn, all of that good stuff. Now, the arms don't really go up and out any more than this. You can kind of swiggle them around, and that's going to help with getting those other poses. But in terms of going out, you have this Revoltech-ish look in here, but I think that's about as much as they could come up with. I wish you could like raise these a little bit. Some of them are on like pegs and hinges, but I don't want this thing to break, so it's like I'm very afraid to articulate him to probably the limits that he has. I'm just too afraid to do it. Now, you can bring the arms in very well. That's one good thing. You can get him in those sword swinging poses, no problem. He does have a bicep swivel, double jointed arms that work about that much, or double jointed elbows. I said arms. I wish they could go a little bit further, but that's fine. It works well enough. His hands are on like a Figma hinge, and I've heard that they do come off easy, but they do work very, very well. Coming off easy is going to suck for those sword poses just because the sword is very, very heavy, but we'll get to that later. It looks like he has a swivel right here. I can't tell. I think that piece is supposed to come off though, because that's where his gun attaches. I don't know, something else we'll get into a little bit later. But yeah, when it comes to the shoulders, you can raise them up and down. Also at the diaphragm, he moves around very well, man. For this armor right here, you cannot argue this. I hope that if they make an SH Figuarts Madara 2.0, 3.0, we get something like this. This is really good, man, for what it is. You can't expect a whole lot out of it, but he goes back about that much. Forward, not really much at all, but he does tilt, turn, rock, all of that good stuff, man. So that's really dope. In terms of kicking, he kicks forward about that much. Can't complain about that. Doesn't really kick back because of the armor. Doesn't really kick out too much either. That's about as much as you get, but it's still going to help with those battle-ish type poses, especially if you bring the legs up just a tad bit. You can get him in those battle poses, so that's good. He does have a thigh swivel. Be careful when you're utilizing it, because this pouch piece, which I was about to tell you, but actually it pops off. He does have double jointed knees that work very well. Foot goes down about that much, up about that much. He does get really good ankle rocker, and then he does have a toe hinge. So articulation wise, it's good, man. There's really nothing wrong here other than the arms. I wish that they could go out better than they do, but again, if they did that, the sculpt work would be all over the place and probably inaccurate. So basically, when it comes to this figure, pose him around, but be careful doing it. And also, because I forgot to say it, most of these big pouches are also on some kind of ball peg or hinge, so you can move them around as well. They are all, just about all, articulated. So yeah, just in case anyone says that I forgot to mention it. Moving on to accessories. First off, he comes with a neutral head sculpt and a pair of relaxed hands right out of the package. He does come with two alternate expressions that look just as good as the first one you see. He has this teeth gritted faceplate right here, which looks really damn good. And then he comes with an even better yelling, screaming face. I love this a lot, man. The sculpt work, the detail, and the painting on all of these are just so freaking crazy, man. You really do see a whole lot of realism in these, despite this being an anime. I love what they did with the teeth, the tongue, the line work under the eyes. It's just, I could really compliment these faceplates all day if I wanted to. Now, he does come with this little green thing right here. I don't know what this is, and I'm not even going to act like I do. I watched the Amazings review, but that was like 2 weeks ago, so I've already forgotten. He does come with an extra dagger. It is not removable. It just attaches to the lower part of the belt, so that's what that's for. This one has a bit more detail than the ones that you see on the strap right here, so yeah, be wary of that. It looks a little bit better. Now, he comes with several different hands. He comes with like this interchangeable I don't know, like a gun hand, I guess, which this is cool. He comes with this piece right here that attaches to the pouch that is behind him. It's going to be the bigger one that I showed a bit earlier in the articulation department. And then he comes with this piece right here, which is, I don't know what's going on, man. It looks like a freaking, like he's shooting the miniature arrows. And you basically have to work one of the hands onto the handle, and it's either one of these right here. He comes with two sets of open hands for this is the left side. Yeah, he comes with two sets of open hands. One of them obviously is going to be for the sword, and like I said, the other one is for the little bow and arrow. Now, he comes with another one for holding the weapon on the right side, and then he comes with a fist hand for the right side. And now that I'm looking at this, I just realized he doesn't come with a fist hand for the left side. So yeah, I don't know how they missed out on that, but okay, yeah, no fist hand for the left side. That kind of sucks, but I mean, it is what it is. Now, I had to scoot him back a little bit to show off the blade that he comes with as well, and this thing looks really damn good, man. Whole lot of sculpt work going on here. I really love how they did the centerpiece here. Then at the base of the blade, you've got some extra sculpted detail. You got the wraps all the way around it. It just looks very nice, man. And then to get the sword in his hand, you just unplug this piece right here. You slide the hands onto the handle, and then you plug it right back on. Very, very genius idea, and it's almost seamless, man. You can barely even tell that's there. Again, most people would probably have to look on the instructions to see that. But yeah, great idea, man. I love this. Moving on to size comparisons, here he is standing next to an SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super CGI Goku, the SH Figuarts One Piece Monkey D. Luffy, and the SH Figuarts Jujutsu Kaisen Greatness Yuji Itadori. Standing next to some Figmas, here he is standing next to the Figma Jujutsu Kaisen Greatness Satoru freaking Gojo, the Honored One, the Figma Haikyuu Hinata Shoyo, which I haven't pulled this figure out in a while, and the Figma Deku from Boku no Hero Academia or My Hero Academia. Lastly, for some random extras, here he is standing next to the Buzzmod Kimetsu no Yaiba Tengen Uzui, the Jada Toy Street Fighter Chun-Li, which is a very dope figure, and the Metacom Toy or Mafex Black Suit / Symbiote Spider-Man. Now, after having some time to kind of sit around, pose this figure, and get to enjoy it a little bit, I have to say that he is definitely worth picking up, especially if you're a Berserk fan, but I would think that that goes without saying. Now, That being said, that doesn't mean he doesn't have problems. Most of them, in my opinion, are going to come out of the proportions. I feel like the proportions on this figure could have been much better. Now, I mentioned the length of the arms. They're just too long, man. They don't correlate with how long the legs are. The legs are just absolutely too short. And I know if they would have made this taller, it would have made the figure cost a bit more. So what they could have done is just shrunk the arms a little bit. I feel like that would have made it fine. Now, moving down to the legs, though, the thighs are pretty huge, and I feel like the calves don't really match the proportions of the thighs. They should have been a tad bit bigger, and that would have made this figure look a little bit better when he's standing in vanilla poses. Once you've got him posed up like this, it's not something you really notice very much, but you can kind of see it. Now, the feet, I feel like they're just too flat, man. It should have been more to it because the feet are armored. Now, just imagine how flat they would look if he took the armor off of his feet. Now, I don't know. Maybe his whole body's armor. This could be something, I don't know. Maybe his body was destroyed and this is all he has. I don't know. I'm being dead serious. I don't know. But it just, the feet do look a little bit flat. Again, falling onto the proportions. And last but not least, I wish there was a bit more muscle definition because in art that I've seen, he looks to be very bulky, man. It looks like he is a very muscular dude. These arms just look a tad bit too skinny for me. So, I don't know. Those are all of my main gripes. When it comes to the articulation, I can forgive them for the shoulders not working as effectively as I want them to, just because of the fact that they had to go with proper engineering. Otherwise, people would be complaining about accuracy. Last but not least, the hands. I don't know whose idea it was for the hands to work the way they do, with them being on a hinge joint. That's just not good for holding this really big blade, man. It's going to fall off. And then on top of that, it feels like the little peg holes inside of the hands were too small. I know a lot of people who have complained about this issue. It seems to be very common, so they should have sculpted them a little bit bigger because it's very hard to slide the hands in these holes. And with weathering, you're just running the risk of breaking the hinge. So you got to be very, very, very careful with all of that. Now, looking past all of those things, if you can, he's definitely a figure worth picking up, man. He looks beautiful. He's going to look great standing on your shelf. Despite the limitations in certain parts of the articulation, you can get him into some very good poses, man. As you see on the box here, this guy, he looks and functions very, very well, despite all of the armor and just craziness that he has going on. So, I don't know. If I was to rate the figure, I'd say I'll definitely give it a solid 7 out of 10, just because you got to be really careful with it, man. And having a figure that you got to be too careful with can ruin the fun factor. There's certain figures you can kind of pull out of the packaging and just enjoy. You know what to expect. You know how to take care of them. This is one of those figures that's almost like a newborn. You gotta be very delicate with it. And at this point, I'm beating a dead horse. So hope that you guys enjoyed this review. Shout out to everyone who's been asking for it. I hope we get this to at least a couple thousand. I'm not expecting it because of how late it is. But again, shout out to everyone who's watching it. Shout out to everyone who made it to this point. Thank you guys for the support. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It always helps me out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. And last but not least, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up with my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye.